Hello, my name is Tiffany. I'm here at American History High, and today I'm going to be asking a few questions. Hello, what is your name?
Travis Bethea.
And what do you do?
I'm an attorney by day and I'm a professor at night at Rutgers University in New Brunswick.
Okay, so why are you here today?
I was invited to give a lecture on constitutional law and the Troy Davis case.
Okay, so how do you feel about the Troy Davis case?
The Troy Davis case, from a legal standpoint, there was issues. Morally, I'm against the death penalty anyway, so I had moral issues with it, but there was definitely some reasonable doubt that was brought up. As there were some legal issues where the case should have at least been reheard. I don't know if he would have necessarily been found innocent of the charges, but he should at least got a new trial based on new evidence.
Okay, can you give us a background of what happened with the Troy Davis case?
Troy Davis was basically a young man who he was convicted of two shootings. Well, he was convicted of a shooting, he was convicted of a murder. He basically went to trial in Georgia. This happened in 1989. Went to trial in Georgia. He was found guilty. They sentenced him to death. Later on, while he's doing his appeals, he always maintained his innocence. Later on, doing his appeals, and throughout the years, 22 years, there were new evidence that came up. The witnesses recanted. There was some ballistic evidence that showed that there were two separate guns used in two separate shootings, which he was convicted of both shootings. But basically, the courts denied him a new trial on each stage, and he was eventually put to death by the state of Georgia.
Okay, how do you feel about being here today?
It's always good to be amongst the youth. I mean, not that I'm that old, but I remember when I was here and no one came to my school to talk to me about anything. So it's always good to be, and y'all keep me sharp. So I hope I gave them a stat where basically for every 10 people who are killed since 1976 who's been killed by the government, there has been at least one death row inmate who was exonerated. So I don't know if that number stuck with them, like how alarming that is. Basically like 10% of people that we know. So imagine how many people that we don't know who has been killed by the government, which probably were guilty. So I hope that they will at least think about that and check the website that I told them to look at, which is called Innocence Project.
And what can we find on this website?
The Innocence Project, it was you will find stories of people who were convicted of, I think there's murder, rape. I think those are the two main things. So those are the things that you get the most time for. So what the organization does is an inmate will write in saying that they're guilty. They went like the Innocence Project to look at their case. I'm sure they get thousands of requests every year, so they take whatever cases I think they think is the most promising, and they go and do test forensic evidence, DNA evidence that probably was not tested during the trial or was later came back, and they retested it, and like basically it exonerates these inmates. So you see that like people's story, like I've been in jail for 22 years and the Innocence Project came and he said I had absolutely nothing to do with it. I always maintain my innocence. I'm proven guilty, and you'll see that their stories.
We learned about the Troy Davis case and different aspects of it, different views, and how it all began, how it all started, and how it ended. And I got to have some of my unanswered questions answered.
Alright, I thought the assembly was very thorough. I mean, coming from an attorney to come to American History High School, volunteer and talk about, the Troy Davis case, I thought it was really, a good learning experience, especially for the students in debate and intro to all classes. I mean, it provided a really good learning environment, coming from an attorney to give his knowledge towards other students, talking about the Troy Davis case and how it affects the Supreme Court and how, basically the obligations of law, basically gave me a really good teaching experience, and overall, I thought it was great. I mean, I thought it was really interesting.
So as you just saw, we learned a little about Troy Davis today from our guest speaker. So I'm signing off. I'm Tiffany. We're Eagles and we fly high above the rest because we're the best.